Thanks for joining us today. I'm Gabe Garish, owner of Backwoods Pursuit, and today we're going to do a Stan Perfex release review. This is the Stan Perfex long neck release. It's a thumb style release from Stan. Really an awesome release, but I'm going to go over my experience with this over the last 6 or 8 months, using it in the field, target practice 3D shoots out in the field hunting last year as well. So I'm going to go over how this performed for me, some of the things I liked, some of the things I did, so stick around at the end of the video for that. As always, check out our website, backwoodspursuit.com, for a ton of other gear reviews over there. And check out our Facebook and Instagram accounts. I'll put links to all that down in the description, as well as a link to the Stan Perfex long neck release here, so you can check it out for yourself if you'd like. Let's get started. So first up, let's go over what you get with the Stan Perfex release that comes with all of them. It comes with a ton of things that allow you to really customize this to your hand and what you prefer when you're out shooting. So what you get with the release here is 2 different size thumb barrels. You can pick whatever works best for you. Now I chose the thicker one just because it's set up just like another release that I had, so I got it to where it felt very, very similar to that. So of course you get the release, a couple of different thumb barrels there. Get a couple of sizes here, and those are going to attach right there, so you can make this closer to the release itself, farther away, and find out what works best for you that way. And then you have the ability to use this as a 4-finger, a 3-finger, or a 2-finger, as I have it set up here. So you would just attach those right there to that right there, and there will just attach right there. And so I have got this pulled off to where it's set up as a 2-finger, as you can see, but that is what comes with the Stan Perfex release here. Now, as far as functionality on this release, as you can see, you've got a cocking lever right there. So you're going to push that to cock the mechanism, and then your barrel here is going to release that. And of course on that end, what you have here, and we'll talk about this in just a second. This is one of the things that is different about this Perfex than others I've used, and it did create a couple of challenges for me, but I'll show you how I got around that. So you can, of course, cock that mechanism there, and then you've got a little spring right there, spring-loaded little tab that you depress, and that's how you latch onto your D-loop. I'll show you that in a minute here. But the way that works there, of course, you go ahead and activate the trigger, and then that opens up and releases, so you have a nice, real clean, crisp release. Now, Stan is known for their awesome, smooth releases, and I can say when I got this, it was set really, at least from what I'm used to, is set pretty hot. And what that caused, at least at first, when I was first getting this set up, of course it takes a little bit of practice on getting the set up, how you like it. I had a couple of, not misfires, but it fired in my draw cycle. So I was thankfully already close on a target, getting used to a new release, so it didn't cause any damage to the bow or damage to arrows or anything like that. But just be aware that it does come fairly hot. Fairly light on the trigger, and it could have been user error on that too, bumping the thumb mechanism or whatnot. But I got it dialed in for myself to where I really liked it. And the one thing that is awesome about these releases, they are so smooth. You can get the pull weight dialed into where you like, but then from there, the trigger travel here on these is just absolutely minimal. I mean, you lock that in, then it's just so minimal. Other ones I've used, some other brands, are not like that. It's just silky smooth. You can really get that to where you are just absolutely dialed in with that, and it makes getting that good pull through right here just really nice and simple. Now, as far as the adjustments and adjustability, there's just so much you can do with this release. You not only, as you can see here, you've got two Allen heads right there. You take your Allen wrench right there, loosen those both up, and then you can move this back and forth like this to where this is going to be sticking farther out or closer in right here. And then of course you also have the different lengths of these posts here, so you can bring it real close to the mechanism itself, or have it a little bit farther out, just whatever works best for you. In addition to that, you've got the ability to move this barrel this way like that, just by loosening this guy in here. You can loosen that up, and then you can move that barrel. So you can just adjust this to where it fits perfectly for your own uses. And then of course you have the trigger travel and the pull weight, the two adjustments right there. Those two screws are what adjust for that, so you can bring that to where, you know, obviously you don't want it so light that it's going to go off in your draw cycle like it did on me a couple of times when I was first getting the setup. Once I've gotten the setup here, it hasn't had any issue whatsoever. It's just obviously not set up correctly for me when I started, but I got that fixed real quick. So that is some of the main adjustability there. It's really just such a smooth and versatile type of release that you can really set it up to get it dialed in for yourself. As far as your 2, 3, or 4 finger setup here, I've got it set up as a 2 finger, of course, but I threw the 4 finger on here so I can show you how this also adjusts. You can move this back and forth just like that, and then you put that pin back in there and screw that down tight, and it's going to hold that in place. So some people like this, you know, more like this, so that you're, you know, turning your hand like that and it activates the trigger. Some people like it all the way back there or anywhere in between. So just whatever works best for you. I like a 2 finger personally, so I leave it just like that. That's the way I've got it set up, but you've got just a ton of versatility between all of these, you know, 2, 3, or 4 finger. You've got those 2 adjustments there. You got the trigger travel and the trigger tension there. So just really, you can buy this one release and you don't have to go buy, say, a 3 finger or 4 finger or 2 finger if you decide you want to change it. You've got all the steps right here, all the things to make that change, you know, without having to get a new release. I wanted to go over how this attaches to the D-loop. Like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the things that wasn't my favorite on this, but I wanted to show you why here. So of course, like any other release, you're going to go ahead and push that button to cock it, and then that's going to make sure that that is in place so you can latch onto your D-loop there. But the thing that for me anyways, that caused me not to love the spring-loaded system here, so you've got that little spring-loaded tab right there that depresses. So that is how you attach that to your D-loop. So what I found is the angle is what's really important on attaching this to the D-loop. So if you come at it like this, you're just going to be swiping at it, and you might grab it like that third try there, grabbed it okay. But what seemed to work a whole lot better is if you came at it from this angle, really exposing that hook, or that jaw, and then it hooked on just fine. So that was one of the things that took some practice and getting used to. I definitely was not as easy as something like this, where you've got, you know, just something you put the jaws over, close it, clamp it, and you're good to go. Took a little bit of practice and making sure you hit that correct angle, and it latches on fine. You get used to it and it works fine. It's just, there was times if you're in a hurry, you got a bull coming in or whatnot, and unless you're really familiar with it and use it that way a lot, then you might find yourself struggling with that for a minute, you know. But it works really well, and it's a great system. Now, I just mentioned that little spring-loaded tab right there isn't my favorite feature on this. However, I do see the reason why, or one of the reasons why they may have done that, is it does alleviate the potential for an extra mechanical failure on a release. Had a situation where using another release, I went to clamp onto a D-loop, and it just wouldn't close on the D-loop, so the release was utterly useless at that point. So I grab, you know, something like this, and you don't have that potential for that issue. Yeah, it might be a little bit more difficult in getting that latched onto your D-loop, but you're not going to have that potential of those claws not grabbing on to the D-loop. So just something to consider. You know, it does alleviate that extra potential for failure out in the field, which really is important as well. Now, a couple of things I absolutely love about this Perfex release. One is the adjustability. It has so many things that you can adjust on here to make it really work perfectly for you. You've got, of course, got the different lengths of the posts, the different barrel lengths, your different the trigger travel, the trigger weight, your 2, 3, 4 finger, just so much you can do with that. I love that. And in fact, it took me a while to get this dialed in. Played with it for quite a while before I really got it to where it felt perfect for me. So that's one thing that is awesome about this. It's just really, really, really adjustable. Another thing I love about this is just how smooth it is. It's absolutely buttery smooth when you're using this, and just creates or helps you really promotes good form when you're shooting. It helps you to really get a good pull through on your shot. So something else I really loved about that, and it's just built really well. You can tell fits really well in my hand. Now, I did want to mention this is the long neck, as I mentioned here earlier. So because it's the long neck, the reason for that is it depends on the size of your hand or the thickness of your hand. As you can see here, my hand here is, I could probably get away without the long neck. I don't have particularly thick fingers, so I could probably get away with that. But I went ahead and went with the long neck just for purposes of I thought it would fit best, and it's worked just fine. But I might have been able to get away without the long neck. This is the size XL also, and that's largely dependent on your hand size, of course. I wear an XL glove. And that was the recommendation from the folks at Stan to go with a size XL. So you can contact them on your particular recommended size as far as the handheld portion itself, because they come in, I believe, small through XL, if I recall correctly on that. Don't quote me, but I think that's right. Anyway, so that it comes in a number of sizes. If you have very thick fingers, I would definitely go with the XL size. Otherwise, you can go with the standard. But at any rate, it's just super smooth, super adjustable. Really a fantastic release. Definitely something you want to try if you're looking at getting a handheld, because you got so much adjustability, 2, 3, or 4 fingers. You can pick up one of these and just experiment and dial it in really, really well. So that is the Stan Perfex thumb style release. It's just a phenomenal release. It's so smooth, so crisp. It can really be adjusted to just about anything that you need with just this one setup. So check it out. Link again down in the description for you. And drop any questions or comments on this. Happy to help you get set up for yourself. Thanks for watching here today. We'll see you next time.